guys, welcome back to the Red Fairy Project for your weekly dose of inspiration to live healthy and happy. So I think, yeah, you can kind of see my little partner in crime right here. She really blends into the couch. My little Havana banana. So we are going to be talking about banishing our inner mean girl. And the term mean girl, obviously there's like a really well-known movie called Mean Girl, but it's actually from a book that I kind of say, like, I really registered that term, and I noticed actually when that would come up in my life. So when my inner mean girl would surface. And if we're going to be honest, I have to say when I was much younger, and I can think like being like 7 or 8, I had like a really mean inner mean girl, and I think she probably kind of came to life. It sounds kind of weird, but I think, yeah, I think she kind of like manifested, partly because I had some mean friends. I had some actual physical like mean girls in my life, and I think when you're young, those kind of events, they really mark you. And if somebody says to you, like, for example, oh, nobody likes you, nobody wants to be friends with you, or something like that, sometimes those voices and those words, they stick in our mind for years and years to come. So I have to say, so now I recently turned 41, but for a major part of my life, I really struggled with an inner mean girl. And I think unfortunately as women, many of us do have that harsh voice, and what we want to do is basically learn. I think that voice might be kind of always present in our life, but it can go from kind of a screaming voice to a voice that's just a whisper from time to time that we can kind of just like say, yeah, whatever kind of thing. So for me, I have to say that this is probably the biggest lesson that I have learned in my life, is how to banish that inner mean girl. And if she does speak up from time to time, how to not believe what she has to say. And it doesn't mean to be in denial about maybe certain things that we need to work on, but I would say probably like 98% of the time, whatever she has to say is not constructive. It's usually the same thoughts that kind of constantly cycle over and over again in our mind. And for me, that's two different things: deciding to consciously work on something in our life, maybe it's something internally, versus just having this critical voice going on all the time. So it's something that obviously does not happen overnight. It's something, not to be discouraging, but I want to just be real here. It's something that takes, I mean, it's years and years, but it's just small daily actions and daily thought shifts that happen. So I think, first of all, obviously it's a big inner work. Now, the second aspect to remember is that the people that we surround ourselves with will also have an effect on maybe how often that inner mean girl manifests herself. So if you surround yourself with loving, positive people, there's a good chance that will kind of build you up, build up the confidence, build up the energy, the positive energy, and that will allow you to actually be able to kind of distance yourself from that inner mean girl or that inner critic. And we have to be aware of the people that are in our lives, and sometimes it can be tricky because we can have somebody in our life that we love very much. Somebody that, it could be a family member or a friend that's been in our life for a long time, but it is possible that that person contributes to our inner mean girl. And obviously we have to be 100% accountable of how we feel and how we act, but at the same time we also have to help ourselves, right? And if we do want to improve that part of our inner world, we have to surround ourselves with energy on the outside that reflects how we want to feel on the inside. So it's really important to take into account the people in our lives. Obviously, let's say if it's somebody at work or something like that, that's maybe a little more tricky, but you can be careful how often you expose yourself to that person, maybe how you communicate with that person. Maybe you'll send an email versus in person. It really depends on the situation. But yeah, I've had circumstances in my life where it was funny. I would click well with a certain person because, let's say we had certain interests in common, but then that person really had a negative energy. And I noticed that although we would get along well on certain points, that negative energy would amplify within me the more I hung out with her. So that's something to be aware of as well. So you have the inner part, which you have full control over. You have the outer world, which you don't have full control over, but you can make certain choices to craft that world and craft your life so that the inner mean girl slowly kind of fades away. And I mean, I know so many talented, smart, loving women in my life, and I feel like all of us, and it's not to say that guys don't have an inner mean guy, but I have to say it's not a conversation I've had with many men in my life. So maybe some of them do. I know that guys also, they can struggle with self-esteem, but for me, that is the biggest thing that I've worked on in my life. And honestly, it's the one that it might seem the hardest and kind of the longer term commitment to work on, but it's the one that's going to have the biggest impact on your life. Because when you don't have that self-confidence and that self-love, everything is a struggle. So whether you do decide to read Melissa's book, I'll put an insert of the book in the video here, or you know, like, there's a lot of videos on my blog that really that can help with that. There's so many resources out there that can help you work on that. But I have to say, like, once again, if you don't have that at the core, that is like your self-love and the dialogue that you have. It is the foundation of everything in your life. So for example, let's say you struggle with your weight, with overeating, with like you're a shopaholic, like a lot of addictions that we have, that we try to numb this pain out through shopping. It could be through sex, it could be through overworking. A lot of it usually stems from that that self-confidence, that inner mean girl. So sometimes it's a bit scary to have that internal look, but at the same time, you might be struggling with something in your life that you've been struggling with for years and trying to kind of put a band-aid on something and wondering, why do I struggle with that? Why do I always like fall off the wagon? And basically, it could be because of that inner mean girl. There's something in you, and it's not about being broken and needing to be fixed. Like, as human beings, we're very complex, and it's never going to be like, I'm this perfect being that never struggles and always has positive thoughts. It's not that. But we are meant to love ourselves and to love others. We're not meant to be in constant suffering. So it's just, I think life, society, maybe experiences that we go through as kids, that they kind of mess us up a little bit. But if you're aware of that, then you can correct that, you can shift that. So I hope this is helpful. Honestly, as I said, if you want to read Melissa's book, that is amazing, but there are a ton of resources out there. Like, pick whatever works for you. There's a lot of different tools out there. Personally, I love videos. That's why I started doing videos. I feel like there's a bit of an ADD culture out there. I'll speak for myself anyways. I don't have a lot of patience to read, although if it's a really good book, definitely I get into it. But I do find the videos sometimes, you know, I know there's busy moms out there, there's career women, and we do not have a lot of free time, unfortunately, but we really do have to make the time to work on that self-love. So if it's just like a 10-minute video once a week or whatever on your Sunday, then great. That's a good start, and then start from there. And maybe it's a podcast you'll listen to. Like, for me, I had to welcome in many resources to help me figure that out and to help me notice and be self-aware. So create that toolbox for yourself, and hopefully these videos are going to be one of the tools that you can use to really help yourself rise to that full potential and finally banish that inner mean girl. Or maybe you'll see her once a year and you'll just say, talk to the hand, because you will not believe what she tells you anymore. The thoughts, the words might still surface, or you might observe those negative thoughts, those critical thoughts from time to time, but you won't believe them anymore. And I have to say, that is where I am at in my life. And I don't know if there's somebody out there that used to have really, really harsh thoughts and they've completely disappeared. Let me know, give me a shout if that's the case. That is amazing. But sometimes that little kind of negative whisper is still there from time to time, and that's fine. We just kind of observe it, let it pass by, let it go, and we don't believe it. And that makes all the difference in the world, having that mindset shift. So I hope it's helpful. I wish you a wonderful week. I love you very much, and I'll see you soon. Bye.